John, what was your assessment of that
Well,
performance?
certainly, I'd rather be playing poorly and winning, Bill, because you'd be able to win with competition. It gives them a chance to play better. I was a little bit disappointed with them tonight, I must say. I thought they would play in much better than they did. They got the breaks with the goal early on, so things went their way.
But I suppose you could argue they played as well as they had to.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with playing really well, Bill, and winning as well. You know, did get a break against Mexico. I suppose they were always going to win the match, but I would have expected more from them tonight.
I don't think they're potential World Cup winners, Bill.
Really?
Poor defence, poor midfield, and they don't appear to have a shape. They don't appear to have any real purpose. They're relying on Messi, Tevez, to a lesser extent Higuain, but I don't fancy them at all. I think Germany were very impressive today.
Yeah.
And I think they look like a team that knows what it's about, that knows what the objectives are, where everyone has a designated role, and they have, you know, tangible strengths in the team as a unit. They have a weakness at the back as well. But I don't think Argentina are realistic contenders, and I think Germany should be favourites to beat them in the next match. And if Germany don't beat them, Uruguay, Brazil or Spain would beat them.
Well, Damien also made a point that Germany or Brazil, he said, would cause Argentina multiple problems in the middle of the park.
Well, yes.
Because the way they line out.
Argentina a lot of time play according to whoever is playing against them. So that means if we had to play against Brazil, we had to play against Germany, England, if England was qualified, for example, we would have to raise our game. We know that. So this is what it will be in the back of the mind of all the boys. But I will not be so as pessimistic as Eamon, because at the end of the day, when you have a player of the caliber of Messi or Tevez and so on, I don't think we respect that Germany have this kind of player. Maybe they are better as a group, but we always have been a kind of individual type of football. So if I'm sure that, for example, for the game against Germany, Messi didn't play that well today. I think he's going to be much more important against Germany. And it's all about how they're going to mark him, how if they can stop him, they will stop Argentina. But if not, Argentina can have a very good time as well.
But I suppose the bottom line, John, is that you play as well as you have to play. They've scored more goals than anybody, and they've conceded only 2. So to be worried about Argentina is to assume everybody that they can't adapt as suggests.
Well, I wouldn't write them off, Bill, because teams can play better in certain matches, and they might have a different formation in the next game. Varane might play, for example, it might suit him, against Germany. I was just disappointed with them overall tonight, but I would take Ozzy's point that when you got Messi and you got Tevez in the team, they're two special individuals who can do things on a day that other teams can't do. So I think they could be better, and maybe against Germany when they have to do it, they might be able to do it. But I was just a bit disappointed with them tonight.
At the end of the day, when you look at results, Argentina have won every single game. I think it maybe Holland is the other one that have won.
That's right, Holland.
That's right. So that is pretty impressive and quite comfortable. Even today, not playing well and so on, have won pretty comfortable. So we'll have to wait and see. But of course, it's going to be a fascinating and very difficult game against Germany.
Yeah. Maradona made a point, actually, Eamon, that's interesting. He said that the South Americans are the only teams that are playing the game as it should be played in the World Cup.
Well, I certainly think...
in other words, the beautiful game, as they say.
I think Spain are playing the game as it should be played. I think Germany are playing the game as it should be played.
Holland.
I think Holland are playing the game as it should be played. I think that's nonsense, really. I mean, I think...
His argument was based on the fact that the South American teams have a very tough qualifying, much tougher than the Europeans. There's 18 games involved in it.
It probably is. Yes, it probably is, because you have to go and play in the height of La Paz, for example. You go and play in the height of Ecuador, Colombia, and so on. Ecuador, Colombia, they have very good team as well. So I would say the qualification is much more difficult than in Europe. However, I don't agree that Europe are not playing good football. Some of the teams that...
but the South Americans are, having quite a distinguished tournament, John, aren't they, like, in comparison to other years?
Well, maybe other years, Bill, but, they're good teams. I think when you get good teams and good players, I know it's an old cliche, but, soccer is a universal language. And, if you get good players from Uruguay, they're going to be good players in Europe. And Uruguay have a very good team. Brazil have a very good team, so have Spain, so have Germany. So there might be slightly difference in styles, but essentially it's people who work hard have a good work ethic, and have ability. That's what
I think
makes up.
in three of the major European footballing nations, England, Italy and France, the game is in trouble.
Yeah.
They don't have players, they don't have coaches. Well, they have coaches. I wouldn't blame Lippi for what. Italy don't have players. France have a mutiny and a farce, and England have a bit of a farce as well. So they're self-destructing almost. And maybe in general in Europe, the game is in decline slightly. Although I'd be hugely encouraged by the German, the young players in the German team. I think it's wonderful that Ozil, Khedira and Müller, who didn't look a player at all in the Champions League when he's playing up front for Bayern Munich, but he has looked very good. He's a young German player, so that's encouraging. And Holland have some.
That's virtually a reverse, isn't it, of the England teams in the or players in the Champions League?
Yes.
Not doing it for the nation.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's not. The Germans have a unit and a system, and these players have roles in the system. The England situation is they pick the best 11 players, what they think the best 11 players, and throw them out there and try and squeeze them in if there's no natural role for them. Gerrard and Lampard being the perfect example. Gerrard is squeezed in as a wide left player in a ridiculous.
Yeah, but one of the very strong arguments that was made today about England, and we're supposed we're diverting to an extent about this, is that the England players are not being played in their proper position, and as a consequence, they're not
That's what I just
developing.
Said.
Yeah.
No, but they're playing them for their names rather than slotting them in to a unit and giving them defined roles to balance. Shape and balance is important in a football team. In other words, if you're playing wide and left, you have to it's better if you have a left peg rather than Steven Gerrard have to come in on his right.
After saying that, I believe that the problem England have go a lot deeper than that.
Yes.
It's a kind of culture with Spain changed the way that they were playing football about 20 years ago, and now they play the beautiful game, and you can see Spain trying to play like Barcelona and so on. England carry on with the same old style, put the ball as quick as possible in.
But isn't that dictated in a sense by television, by the fact that there's huge money involved, by the fact that
not at all, because
the punters demand certain
not
things?
at all, because at the end of the day, the English league arguably is the best in the world, probably with the Spanish, the only one to compete. But not so much because of the English player, but very much so because of the foreign players. Yeah. That made the England Premier League so competitive and so good. The problem that England have as a team is that somehow they don't have a culturally they don't really know what they are playing. They don't know if they have to play long ball, for example, to the front player, or they have to play through the midfield. It's very easy to see that England had not played 4 or 5 passes together, for example. In this kind of level, you are.
But isn't that a terrible indictment of Capello then as a coach, isn't it?
Well, I think it's an indictment of the system in England for producing the players.
I think as a coach as well, John, because Beckenbauer said recently. Beckenbauer came out last week and he said they have reverted back to a kick and rush game.
Right,
now, Franz Beckenbauer is a serious guy, and he wouldn't be at the wind-up stuff. No. He means it, and I think it offends him.
Yeah, I think he's right too. He's right. But you made a point like they're trying to fit players, which they are doing that. But then, but if when you go past that, and you see Heskey in the team, why is he fitting him?
No, I think that's right. It's much deeper than what I said.
Yeah, it's a peculiar situation, Bill. I don't think Capello's done a good job. Now, whether the players are there to do a better job, I think they probably are. But I don't think they're ever going to be as good as the people in the supporters in England think they are, because they have the problem of picking Lampard, as Eamon said, the best players, but they're not getting a
team out of it. Yeah,
you know.
But what should they do? Should they just say, okay, listen, fellas, the system that we used is obsolete. It doesn't work. It will not work internationally.
Yes.
So we'll pick a team, regardless of the status they may have in the league.
Well, the mystery is, I'd like Ozzy and John to tell me what happened to Wayne Rooney in this World Cup. That's a mystery.
Well, it could have been altitude, you know. No, there is a
no, Bill.
It may not be the entire thing, but it could be part
nothing
of it.
to do with it.
Without being personal about Rooney or Gerrard or Lampard or whoever it is, I believe that it's a little bit irrelevant who the manager of England is. It could be Capello, it could be Ericsson.
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. And McLaren before him and so on. At the end of the day, when it comes to the proper competition, like the World Cup, for example, you know exactly how England is going to play, and they revert to what they have done all the time, and that is the big challenge that England, as a nation, as a football nation, have in their hand right now.
Yeah, they're completely predictable, you mean, is it?
Well, this is a way of football that, like Franz Beckenbauer says, is obsolete. Nobody play like this in the world right now. England has no.
But this is the worst they've ever played, surely, isn't it?
No.
You don't think so?
4 years ago, they were just as bad.
It couldn't be worse than this, but it hasn't been muit better, Bill.
They were as bad 4 years ago.
Were they?
Oh, definitely. Well, you remember they played, I think it was Trinidad and Tobago and all that. They scraped out of the
and in fact, Ericsson has done better, hasn't he?
Well, he did just as well. I think the problem is, and we spoke about this early on, Amy.